It's no secret that great art takes a long time to make. The Sistine Chapel took Michelangelo 4 years, Monet's Water Lilies 12, and Leonardo da Vinci took a whopping 16 years to finish the Mona Lisa. So clearly I'm in good company when I say that this Imperial Guardsman took me over a decade to paint, and in this video we're going to find out why. Now, of course, I've not been painting this model for the last 11 years. This isn't some super secret, long-term golden demon project of mine. I mean, I haven't even been painting models for the last 11 years. So why is this guy so special to me? Well, it's because of the paint on the model, or shall I say, lack of. See, this model was started by a younger version of myself, or ourselves, I guess. But a younger me never finished this model. He got half the paint on it, he got bored and simply moved on. And this Cadian was put in the bottom of a box and has stayed there for the past decade. Until now, and finally, we're going to get some paint on this model and finish him up. So let's crack on. So here's what we've got so far, and I think it's a really nice start. We've got some nice base coats down, and I really like the cloth and the face, and I'll actually be leaving these because I want to keep some of my original paint job in the final model. I will, however, be using the new techniques and skills I have as an older painter to improve the rest of the model, so the boots and the weapons, and especially the armour, and hopefully we'll create something that a younger me would be proud of. I actually have two other Cadians from the same point in my childhood that I ended up finishing. As you can see, these guys were on snowy bases, so I'm going to take this current model in this same sort of direction, using these guys as inspiration. Our first step in doing this is going to be covering up this gap in the model's back. It seems like this fella's lost his backpack in the years he spent in the bottom of my boxes, so I think it's time we fix him up with something new. Now, considering the winter theme, rather than giving him a new backpack, I want to give him a nice big fur cloak. I think it will look really cool, and also it's kind of the only thing I know how to sculpt or have tried sculpting before. I start by mixing up some green stuff and then use the back of my sculpting tool to roll it out into a flat shape. I then start cutting a rough cape shape and lining it up with the model, taking it back, lining it up again, and just trying to get the general shape. I then come in with my sculpting tools and start to mould the shape of the cloak to the model, flattening out all the edges and things like that. I then use my hobby blade, which I don't actually have a handle for yet, and start putting small little lines to give texture to the cloak. I found what's really helpful with this is to go deeper than you think, as this then gives more texture for washes or dry brushing to hit as well. Whilst I'm really happy with the final result I got here, I can't really give out many recommendations on sculpting, but my sculpting is improving slowly over time. If we look at this pelt I sculpted last week compared to this one for this video, it's clear some improvement is being made, but I still feel like I'm a long way off from sharing any advice on sculpting. So maybe in the future I'll do a video sharing my progress and any tips or tricks I've learned along the way. With the sculpting done, it's time to get some paint on this guy. Clearly my younger self wanted to follow the colour scheme used by Games Workshop with its classic green base colour, but I want to do something different. However, rather than painting all over this fantastic base coating I did, instead I'm going to use the green as our shadow colour and slowly build up through dark grey greens, turquoises and blues. These colours here are grey green, grey blue and ice yellow by Vallejo, and the Fang, Sotek green, Ahriman blue, rust grey, Kislev flesh and white from Games Workshop. As I was building up the layers on this model, I just kept working up between half steps between each of the colours, adding in lighter and lighter colours as I got from a dark green through to turquoise to a brighter blue. One new thing I experimented with this painting session was using a warm skin tone like Kislev Flesh here to push my final highlights rather than using white or ice yellow I've used before. This resulted in a really nice warm turquoisey colour and was just something I hadn't done before and really enjoyed. I'm definitely going to keep doing this as it just keeps a really nice warm highlight rather than a colder highlight that the white sometimes gives. With the blue armour done and the existing paint on the cloth and skin, the Mini was already starting to look pretty good. All I had left to do was work on the smaller details left on the model, like the golden badges, the black boot and belt, the weapons and the fur cloak. So I thought this is a pretty good time to come make a cup of tea so we can start to talk about the other topic in this video, nostalgia. You may have noticed recently, or in recent years, that nostalgic things such as Warhammer or Pokemon, other franchises we're fans of, are growing again, and people are getting back into old childhood hobbies. And even when I was looking for Christmas decorations, I found nostalgic Christmas lights. There's a whole yearning at the minute for yesterday, and I'm really interested in why this is, and at university I looked into this a bit. I studied marketing, but consumption studies, and specifically why people were, consuming nostalgic products, or specifically why I was going back and consuming nostalgic things from my childhood. The key thing that I looked at really was our possessions, and how our possessions become, a part of us and become capsules of memory of times in the past. Our past is integral to who we are, and therefore our possessions that link us to our past are a convenient way of storing feelings and memories and emotions that relate to a time that's already passed. In this sense, the models that we collect, or anything really we buy, but for Warhammer, the models we collect become capsules of memories. And these capsules of memories, by engaging with them, allow us to engage with a past self or a past time. For example, if it's painting a model or buying a model we always wanted as a kid that we couldn't get, or engaging with, old franchises that have now come back, like the Old World and stuff like that, it feels good and it feels simple and we know it and it's nice. For example, for me, getting back into the hobby the last, half a year or so, it's, it just brings up memories of painting models at the kitchen table, or when I first got my Island of Blood box, or trying to play half games with my friends and stuff like that, and making up our own rules, or reading White Dwarf every time it came in the mail or something like that. And it's good memories, and it reminds me of a simpler time. And why I think this is so prominent at the moment is we live in a time, and especially since the COVID-19 pandemic, of such change and digitalisation and things moving so quickly, that nostalgia brings us back to, to simpler times. And importantly, it can help foster a sense of continuity in ourselves. For example, me painting this Cadian today allows me to engage with a younger self that shows that over time things are still the same. For example, in Warhammer, a Cadian Cadian shock trooper, is still a Cadian shock trooper. An orc is still an orc, because it's how we imagine these things in our mind that doesn't change over time. When, I've got older, my life is busier, and I've got university deadlines and, all this different stuff, and trying to find jobs and all this sort of thing. When I paint, it still takes me back to just that being a young boy painting models, and that's, a really healthy thing to have, I think, in your life, especially when things are so intense and stuff like that at the moment. And the simple act of painting and the nostalgic act of painting for me takes me back to a simpler time, and makes life that little bit easier, I guess, when you have something like that where you can just fully relax, zone out and just get in the zone and enjoy painting and then go to work or university the next day. So the point I really want to make is you know, indulge in nostalgia and enjoy it. It's fun and it's easy and it's simple. In a world where so much is fast and changing, a little bit of painting or anything like that, gaming or reading books or anything you used to do as a kid, you know, it just takes the pressure off things and it's really fun. So I hope at least a bit of that made sense. I'd like to do some more of this video essay kind of stuff alongside painting going forwards with the channel, but I found it quite hard to communicate these ideas really succinctly for the camera to make it all make sense without spending ages writing a script and stuff. So yeah, hopefully you got the gist, and I'll try to do some more going forwards. But yeah, let's finish up this model. Alright, so back to the painting, and sorry if my voice sounds a bit different earlier in the video. I'm recording this later in the week and I got a bit ill and my throat's a bit sore, but anyway. For the pelt on its back, I wanted to do a gradient from dark brown to ivory. So the colours I used were Pro Acryls Mahogany, then Mornfang Brown, XV99, Ballor Brown, Kislev Flesh, and finally some highlights of Screaming Skull. I wanted to dry brush the pelt, but this didn't really work because the sculpting I'd done just doesn't have enough texture to it. But it did have enough texture that I could come in and just do some small highlights with Screaming Skull, picking out some of the details. I then used a wash of Reikland Flesh shade all over to blend it together. To prepare the base for the snow, I did some really simple metal on these pipes using some greys and some ice yellow and stuff like that, and I hit it with some oranges to put some rust in there as well. I then dry brushed the base with progressively lighter greys, and then I wanted to give the base a feel that it was icy and cold, so I kind of dumped a load of the Fang on it and put definitely a bit too much on, so then I came back in and took a bit of the excess off with my brush, and then yeah, we were ready for the snow. For the snow, I used the same methods I used over a decade ago. Good old trusty bicarbonate of soda, smacking a bit of PVA glue down on the base, and then just taking a scoop of it out of the tub and then just dapping it off with a spoon all over to try and get a natural snow effect. Quite a lot came off sometimes, so I just dabbed it off. I was then debating for ages of whether I wanted to put snow on the models. I was afraid of ruining it, but younger me was clearly not afraid of smacking bicarbonate soda all over his models, so I thought, in the spirit of finishing this model in the way I would have wanted it done when I was younger, I just covered him in snow as well, and I'm really happy with the look. I don't know if bicarbonate soda is the best way to do snow, but it's certainly the cheapest and the easiest one I had available to me, and I'm super happy with the result. The last thing was to add some paint to the base rim, and this model was done. I'm super happy with how this model came out, and I'm sure 12-year-old me would be too. I especially like the blue armour, and it's given me some ideas for a future video, so subscribe to the channel if you want to see where this colour scheme might pop up again soon. Comparing to the model we started with, it's almost unrecognisable, and I just absolutely love the final outcome we've got. Finally, I just wanted to show off the model next to my old Cadians that I've finished as well, because it is so cool to see them all together and just shows how far I've come in painting and in life, and it's so nice to have these two kind of bookends of, you know, of a decade sort of thing. It's really nice to see them together. I think it's funny how simple models can do that, but for me it's been really enjoyable coming back to Warhammer and, you know, connecting with my childhood again, and it's been a really good part of the hobby for me. Finally, I just want to say a massive thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the painting and some of the discussion in this video as well. If you want to see more, then please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.